Hi, it's Wednesday, the 8th of January. Yesterday, I sent a newsletter out, first one for months, and it contains some vital information actually about this year and a particular situation which is going to be happening on the 29th of March, which seems quite a way off at the moment, but it's all to do with the fact that this year we have all of the outer planets changing signs, and we've got a particular date which is quite important. Okay, so hopefully you got the newsletter because you've signed up for it. What I can do actually, the next video I do, I'll run through what was in the newsletter and I'll expand on it as well for those that didn't. If you aren't on my newsletter mailing list, then the address is in the box under this video. So please sign up. Honestly, you won't get spammed. You'll be lucky if you get 4 a year. I will not be spamming you, I promise. Anyway, what I want to do when I noticed something in particular about the alignment of planets we've got for the 29th, there was Ceres right in the middle of it. And what I want to do now is do a crash course on Ceres because right at this moment, Ceres is making a particular aspect to Jupiter. And anyway, you'll see. I am going to be reading sections from my book Starry Messengers, which of course is out of print now, and you can't get copies. I do have a few of the republished Story Messenger, but it was by a publisher who changed the title to The Future in the Stars. I have got a few of those left, so you could buy one of those now before those start going for £100 on Amazon. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is to share with you, and I just want to show you today's chart, and then you'll see why we have to talk about Ceres right now. So here we go. This is the chart of the moment. I'm at home. This is the state of the sky above my head and the sky on the other side of the Earth. Right, so we've got the sun at 18 Capricorn, just for those that like to know what's going on, still conjunct Athena, and the moon is now in Taurus, so 9 degrees of Taurus. So we have both of them in an Earth sign. This is the dwarf planet I want to talk to you about. This is Ceres. And Ceres is at nearly 12 degrees of Aquarius. And so 120 degrees, and that's an aspect called a trine, away from Jupiter. And Jupiter is going retrograde. That little R there means retrograde. So we have to talk about this now, and it's important. This is in air. It couldn't be a better moment. Right, so I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to share. Actually, I'm going all over the place here. Before I do, can I just show you the photograph I took of the crescent moon, the first crescent after the new moon in Capricorn last week? If you remember, I said I'm really excited because I'm going to be able to see it. I did manage to get an excellent shot of it. So let me do that before I forget. Okay, just indulge me. I thought you'd like to see this. I think it's absolutely amazing the way the light is exposing or highlighting the craters and the mountains on the moon here. So I just think that is such a lovely shot. And you probably cannot see, but there is a difference between the dark here and the dark here. And the moon, the outline of the whole moon is there. And so you can see how the sun is lighting the moon's face on the other side, but not this side. There we go. I'll stop sharing that. Right. Sorry, I digressed. But I just wanted to do that. So Ceres. Right. Now, I am going to be looking at notes in Story Messenger, as I say. I did write this book nearly 20 years ago, and I get told quite often that Pam Gregory is reading from it. I don't look at Pam's work because I don't want to copy her ideas. I don't want to plagiarize anybody else's work. So I never ever look at another astrologer or spiritual guru so that I know my work is all my work. Otherwise, honestly, I would copy everybody's work. I wouldn't remember where I got it from, and that would be terrible. So forgive me if you think I should be looking at Pam. I'm best not. Okay, so just quickly, so Ceres is a dwarf planet. And one of the most important things about Ceres that we discovered scientifically in recent years is that Ceres is made of the same material that Pluto is made of. Now, Ceres is in the asteroid belt, which is much closer to Earth and the Sun than Pluto, which is far out in something called the Kuiper belt. In between the asteroid belt with Ceres and the Kuiper belt with Pluto is all the outer planets, all the big gas giants. None of them are rocky. They're all gas. You can put your hand through them, except they're far too big. So, for Ceres to be made of rocky material and Pluto to be made of rocky material and the same rocky material means that there is a big connection between the asteroids, which are, as I say, very close to Earth, relatively speaking, and the Kuiper belt, which is so far out. We only discovered the planets there at the turn of the millennia, around the year 2000, going up to 2006. Okay, so Ceres and the other asteroids in the asteroid belt are considered to be a planet that didn't make it to be a planet. When the solar system was being formed, either that was a big planet which got smashed up into rocks, or it didn't coalesce. It never quite made it. They're not sure. But anyway, it's just interesting that these things are rocks and not gas. Well, I'm interested in that. Putting Ceres in a nutshell, I'm always struck by the way that she is there for people when they are walking through the valley of hell. She walks with us in times of separation and grief. And she spends special attention and cares very much for people in particularly the loss and grief of parent-child separation. Now that's on a human scale, a micro scale, if you like. But on the macro scale, that's the human population being separated from the mother. And what's the mother? The feminine. And what have I been saying for a few months now? We have become separated from the feminine. We have become bedazzled and engaged by masculine growth, the pursuit of growth all the time, even though industrial commercial growth could only lead to a complete depletion of all resources on this planet. We nevertheless continue to seek it in a very greedy way quite often. And the planet can't keep up. And the planet is an Earth planet, and it's therefore feminine. We have lost our step with the feminine. We have lost our allegiance to the feminine, and we have been worshipping at the altar of the masculine or yang. The feminine or yin has been abandoned, and we have not cared and no longer care for the delicacy of the ways of the feminine. So it's interesting to me that in all of the major astrological moments of recent years, and particularly the one that comes on the 29th of March this year, Ceres is right there, holding her torch. Ceres guides souls into the underworld. She tends them while they are there. She tends us and tends to us while we grieve, while we're broken, while we're walking through the valley of death. And she is a remnant or part of the archetype of the great feminine, the mother. And that is the feminine, the yin, which exists outside of our dimension in the multiverse, in the bigger cosmos. Okay, so now everything I've told you there is sort of breathtaking if you aren't used to or haven't really understood about Ceres and her very important position as a dwarf planet so close to Earth when all the other dwarf planets are so far away. Why does she stay so close? Connection to the mother. These are essences and emanations of the feminine. And I'm just going to talk to you about that. Right. So I've got some notes here. Forgive me, I can't remember all these dates. I just have to sort of glance at them. So Ceres was specifically introduced during a drought in Rome in 496 BC. But she was originally known to the Greeks as Demeter, Earth Mother, Demeter. And going back even further, there are similarities and there is an essence of Isis with her, and that's Isis of the ancient Egyptians. So in myth, Demeter, called Ceres in Rome, and her beloved daughter Persephone were walking in a meadow, and the Lord of the Underworld, at that point Hades, but of course Pluto, rose up from the underworld and kidnapped Persephone and made her his queen. So there we have the connection between Pluto, the planet, Lord of the Underworld, and Ceres, the asteroid. And funnily enough, actually, in reality, they are made of the same stuff. Huh? I couldn't make that up, right? It's just so amazing. This is the point where I swoon at the majesty and the awesomeness of our solar system. Anyway, carrying on. So Demeter was beside herself with grief and mourning, and she took refuge as a nanny to a royal baby in the town of Eleusis. And she would put the infant in the fire every night to burn off the humanness in order to give the baby eternal youth. And that's the eternal youth of the gods, to give the baby immortality, the fire of immortality. Anyway, she was found out and she was stopped and the magic ceased. But she built a temple there which would provide mortals with the sanctuary and training and initiation rites that would give them this magic, to give them life after death. This is her great gift. So then began the Eleusinian mysteries, which describe the death and the resurrection and the rebirth issues and the mysteries of the ancient Greek world. She gave the city a grain of corn to symbolize the secret of rebirth. Anyway, so Demeter took out her rage and grief at the loss of her child Persephone on the people of the earth by withholding the crops and starving the planet. Zeus, Jupiter, the king of the gods, then brokered a deal whereby Hades, Pluto, and Persephone would spend part of the year with Mom, Ceres, or Demeter, and part of the year down in the underworld. And that's when the winter arrives. So in a simple way, this is describing the seasons, but it's also describing the fact that we have to pass through the underworld before we are reborn. This is about resurrection and rebirth. Now, going quickly to Egypt, we have almost an identical story concerning Isis. And there is also a story about a young prince child from Byblos who is saved from mortal death by engulfing him in flames every night. And this was Isis doing this. And when the child's mother caught Isis putting her baby in the fire, Isis explained that she was burning away the mortal parts of the child so that he might live forever. So, unfortunately, the spell was now broken, and he would now die as all humans must. So, can you see the connection, the interweaving all the time of the journey of life and death? Um, so, Isis also was responsible for putting back together her husband Osiris, who had been severed in various places, and his severed limbs were scattered all over Egypt. She was responsible for repairing that and drawing semen from her husband, with which she impregnated herself and gave birth to the child Horus. So there we have this goddess bringing about, even after her husband has been torn asunder, nevertheless, she worked with it and brought about the birth of a child, and the child Horus went through to be a mythological state god or ruler, a mythological ruler of Egypt. It's unclear about that. Because her son had to be raised by others, Horus had to be raised by others in case he got discovered, she was separated from him for many years, parent-child separation. And the parent-child bond is one of her themes. Okay, so we've got here a mythological figure, an archetype, which teaches us about the art of death and regeneration. And the death rites of the ancient world were so important to them. The Greeks believed that the soul of all growing things is in the earth, and that regeneration of spring after death of winter is like the regeneration of the human soul after death. Okay, now, I the meaning of this, as far as I'm concerned, is one that I never forget, and I think that it emerges in Christianity. It wasn't until, well, it was the Egyptians who first told us that the soul could survive the body and could take flight and go up to the stars and could live on after the death of the body. And of course, that's exactly the mythology that we see in Christianity. So this mythology has survived many religions, and is easily accessible to us today. It has therefore to be incredibly important. It has to be the real meaning of life, for it to have this importance in our mythological library, the Gnosis. Okay, so going back to the planet, what is Ceres doing where she is on the 29th of March? And she is lighting the way. Now, she is assisting planets to move through the equinoctial point, and she's assisting their journey, and she is helping the human race as the mother tending her child. Now, I've probably run out of time here, and so what I need to do is do this two separate parts. So I'll stop there. We've learned a lot about Ceres. We needed to do that, and then I want to put together the two stories. The story that I was looking at in the newsletter that I sent out was one of Neptune and Saturn changing sign. If you remember a while ago, if you look for the video on 2025, you'll see all about that, the changing signs, etc. And on the 29th of March, this Saturn sorry, Neptune is at the 29th degree of Pisces on the 29th of March. I'm just checking that because that happens so closely. Anyway, I'm checking it, but I can't read it fast enough. Saturn does not accompany Neptune through the dark fate and judgment of the 29th degree of Pisces on the 29th of March. That's right. So it is just Neptune. And for Ceres to be there at that time is just awesome, mind-blowing, astounding. Anyway, right. So hope all that made sense to you. And I will see you on Friday, won't I? Yes, I will. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Phew, without you, dear listener, well, I'd be talking to myself. So thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm going to say goodbye now. Bye.